Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle, and today I'm thrilled to be in conversation with Sarah Clay from Sarah Clay Social. So, Sarah is a LinkedIn coach and trainer and is here to share her insights on how entrepreneurs and businesses can leverage the power of LinkedIn. Now, in a world where personal branding is becoming as crucial as business branding, especially for founders and those in client facing roles, Sarah will guide us through the essentials on this. Because let's face it, people want to do business with people, and we often discuss how brands should emulate human behavior today. But we're going to shine a light on how the individuals behind a business can truly shape what a brand is all about. So I just want to say welcome to Sarah.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Michelle. Yeah, it's really, really brilliant to be here. So thank you very much.
Fantastic. Well, it would just be really good to find out first off, like why you believe LinkedIn is the best platform for essentially building a personal brand.
The thing that I love about LinkedIn is that it is about people. As you quite rightly said,
Mm.
people work with people. And, we all know how much LinkedIn has changed over the years, and especially since we all fell into lockdown and nobody knew loads and loads of people didn't know what LinkedIn was then. And they kind of discovered it, and it changed. It turned into this wonderful place where people talk to each other and
Hmm.
communicate and make friends and build relationships, and it's such a valuable platform for doing that. I mean, there are now over 1 billion personal
Wow.
profiles on LinkedIn. It's just bonkers.
Yeah.
I remember writing my first blog post or something years ago, and it was 400,000, and we thought that was a
Mm.
lot. And here we all are, all interacting and meeting each other on LinkedIn. And one of the things that I love about LinkedIn is how easy it is once you know what you're doing. And
Yeah.
people come to me and they say, "Oh, help! I don't know. I haven't got a clue. It looks really scary. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to build my profile,
Hmm.
whatever." But once people know how to do it and what LinkedIn is and how it works, they get it.
Yeah.
And it's actually very, very easy to make changes, to add content. And it's so accessible from a user
Hmm.
perspective as well as from a visitor perspective that it's crazy that people aren't using it in a more substantial way, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know for our own business, it's something which has been pivotal for people growing their personal brands. So it's really interesting to hear from you on this. And what do you feel like the difference is between building your personal brand and also thought leadership?
Oh, this
Yeah.
is such an interesting question, which I have been delving into myself quite a
Hmm.
lot. So I teach a system of employee advocacy when
Yeah.
I'm working with companies. And it's not to say that I only work with companies, but when I do work with companies, I empower or try to empower the employees to go out on LinkedIn as themselves, but sort of wearing the company hat, if you like. So they're still representatives of the company, but they're definitely going out as themselves.
Hmm.
And when I first started teaching companies and going into companies and talking to them about this, I talked about people being a personal brand.
Yeah.
And I could see the companies or the employees were finding this a really scary
Mm.
proposition. But when I use the phrase thought leadership, they get
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
Because thought leadership is, it's not just taking other people's content and copying it and reusing it. It's your original thoughts.
Yeah.
It's somebody's original thoughts, how they've put them together. And it's not just this is what I think. It's about how they've constructed the thoughts, how they've manufactured them, how they've presented them to their audience. And that's thought leadership. And I think people can understand that, people can get their heads around that.
Hmm.
Whereas personal branding is much more. I think thought leadership is part of personal branding for
Yeah.
sure. But personal branding is who you are, what you do, what you say, what you think, what you
Hmm.
feel. It's, I mean, it's the classic phrase, what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah,
And to
definitely.
me, yeah, exactly. And personal branding is everything, and it has to go through the heart of somebody,
Hmm.
in the same way that it goes through the heart of a company. If a person wants to be their own personal brand, which we all are
Yeah.
actually, although as I say, people find the term very scary,
Yeah.
it's who we are. It's what's in here. It's what's in here.
Hmm.
It's our thoughts. It's our ethics. It's our very being. Actually, is
Yeah.
what our brand is.
Definitely. And I almost feel like for me, I think it's that nice balance of like thought leadership is the step on the way to building the personal brand, I almost feel like. And like you said, it's that element of like building up to a personal brand. It's about all what you're all about. So I think that's fantastic to hear your thoughts on that. It'd be good to know like what challenges have you faced in like building your own personal brand, and how important you have you found it in your own business?
Can I flip them and answer the important one?
Yeah, go for it.
Start with positive. It's honestly, I'll explain about how I came to mine, but
Yeah.
since I've established my personal brand, yes, it's
Mm,
about my colors, about purple and orange. And, everybody, who knows me knows I'm purple and orange.
yeah.
I wear purple and orange, or my accessories are purple and orange. I live it, breathe it, eat it, and sleep it, much to the annoyance of my children. Who, Mum, it's my birthday. We're going out for dinner. You're wearing black. Like,
Yeah.
well, I don't actually have anything that's black, darling. They go, well, you can borrow something of mine. And that's my son. No, it's been a really positive thing for my brand.
Mm,
And when we think about brands, I think about the golden arches, you
yeah.
can, when you see that sort of yellow M, you can almost smell the burgers.
Hmm.
Chanel is another one I
Yes.
absolutely love. When I see that forward and backward C linked in together, I can smell my perfume.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
Mm,
But as I say, it's not just your colors, it's everything about you.
yeah.
And if somebody can establish themselves as having a really strong personal brand, when they meet somebody in person, if they've established their brand online, that person feels that they know them already.
Hmm.
And there are
Yes.
no surprises when they meet them in person. And the trust is established. And we
Hmm.
need to establish trust before anybody's going to buy from us. The whole journey of know, like, and
Yeah.
trust. Nobody's going to buy from you unless they trust you. And if you can get somebody to know you, like you, and trust you before you even met them,
Hmm.
that's powerful, really powerful. So
Definitely.
having that brand is really, really important. I mean, on a sort of lighter note, I get sent things in the post from clients, cards,
Hmm.
flowers. I got a makeup bag recently, all with my branding on it. And
Yeah.
it is really powerful. But as it's not just the colors, it's about who you are and what you
Hmm.
say. But it's
That's
so,
it.
so powerful.
I think a lot of the time it kind of resonates with people's values, isn't it? A lot of the time it's people resonate to people who have got similar values, or can, or who at least are portraying those in all of their brand as well. And I think that's really important. And it comes back to that point of where you meet people in person and there's that level of trust built because you are showing those values in online.
Absolutely. It's a very important part
Mm,
of our marketing process, whoever we are. And I just don't think it can be underestimated how important it is. Um, and you talk about struggles.
yeah.
So I work with clients all the time, and yes, I'm a LinkedIn trainer. I train people how
Mhm.
to market themselves on LinkedIn. But when people come to me, I have to make sure that they know what they're marketing. They know what it
Yes.
is that they're selling before I can get them out there. Unless somebody knows what it is that they want to say, how they want to say it, and who they want to say it to,
Hmm.
then there's no point. And also why, why are we doing this? Why am I out here trying to be a,
Hmm.
copywriter or an engineer or whatever it is? It's important that people understand that. And that I see is the biggest challenge, which is definitely the first challenge that people
Yeah,
undertake.
definitely.
And until they've established that, and it's the same for an individual or for a company, is they can't move on. It's like
Hmm.
you jump in your car in the morning. How do you know which way to turn the wheel? You've got to have direction. You've got to know why you're doing this. So
Yeah.
that's the first issue, I would say.
Hmm.
The second thing is consistency.
Yeah.
People aren't always consistent with their branding.
Hmm.
Not just their colors, as I say, but what they're saying, the kind of posts that they're engaging with, the kind of conversations they're entering
Yeah.
into. It's really important to be very targeted because A,
Yeah.
you waste a lot of time faffing around. And also you won't align yourself. You won't strengthen that brand.
Hmm.
And it's not to say that you can't change your brand or your ideals or what it is that you're selling or giving away or whatever it is. along the way. But as long as you're targeted with, this is what I'm doing now, and I want everybody to know this is what I'm doing now, so this is what I'm talking about. You know, if I decided to start talking about teaching Instagram tomorrow, that would confuse my audience.
Yeah, no,
Confuse
definitely.
me as well, actually. I had a look at Instagram the other day. I'm like, whoa, this has changed since I used to teach it. But it's about, you know, being consistent, being consistently there as well on LinkedIn. If you just popping up. Oh yeah, you're really good at this, Michelle. You're popping up, you're there, you're creating content, you're popping up, you know, making comments in other people's posts. And if we're popping up on LinkedIn and showing our face and being consistent in a, you know, when we're there, then people will remember us and we'll remain front of mind when they want to buy our services, or when somebody comes to them and say, oh, do you know a good branding agency and a good design agency? Oh yeah, Michelle Noel popped into my feed the other day. Yeah, I'd recommend her. And I think that's really important as well. So as well as being consistent in your message, being consistently there.
That's it. I think for us, it's always about having that overarching strategy in place, isn't it? So when you talk about the idea of like your target audience, but also, you know, what you're actually going to be saying on there, it's going right back to the start, isn't it? And putting that underlining like foundation, which is essentially the strategy, which you would do for any brand, but also doing it for yourself. It makes your content creation a lot easier as well, I would say.
Yes, good point. It really does. Yeah, you know exactly what you're going to talk about. You know exactly how you're going to say it. You've got your tone of voice sorted.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's really important.
And what if you were to give people like your top 3 tips on LinkedIn at the moment to build their personal brand? What would you say that would be?
Oh, right. Well, the first thing is you've got to build your profile. You've got to build. There are, last time I counted, 38 different sections to LinkedIn profile. Yeah, it's huge.
Okay, did not know that.
Yeah,
Clearly
I know.
haven't got
I mean,
all
some of them
those
are
in
really
place.
small, but make sure that you're maximizing the opportunities that are there. LinkedIn are giving you this stuff and people just aren't using it. So go through your profile with a fine tooth comb and make sure all of the sections are filled in, that it's all aligned and it looks, that it reads well, that it says what you do. It's very, very clear. People, you know, I do this. Billion people on LinkedIn. People are scrolling really, really fast on LinkedIn now. So make sure that your message packs a punch. It's right up front and central. So build an awesome full profile is my first tip that I would say. Second on LinkedIn is about creating content. So create content that is aligned with what you're talking about and what you want to say. Occasionally you might want to go off piste a little bit and talk about something else, but don't do that too often, if at all, because you will confuse your audience. So make sure that you're creating that content that is relevant to what you do and is, you know, valuable to your audience. And just keep being there. Keep arriving on LinkedIn, keep, you know, popping onto LinkedIn, comment on people's posts, relevant people's posts.
Right, okay.
Posts. And that's, I think people make a mistake of scrolling through their feed and just commenting on posts that just pop into their feed and being reactive about their activity on LinkedIn. It's really important on LinkedIn to be proactive, to find the people that you want to engage with, to find and actively look for the right content and the right people to engage with.
Again, coming back to that strategy piece, which you were talking about earlier, like having a strategy for commenting as well, it sounds like then.
Absolutely. Commenting is so undervalued. I've had clients, and I've got 2 examples, really recent examples of clients who have secured big clients of theirs through commenting on posts, purely commenting. I employed somebody recently. I gave him a 4-figured sum over 2 contracts because he was commenting on my posts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he was popping up, adding value, talking about what he does. And then when I needed his services, I was like, I know the guy. He's the guy that keeps
straight to
up on my
mind.
feed.
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh, well, that sounds fantastic. And what was your third one? Did I count 2 then or 3?
Yeah, no, that was just a profile, content, and being there. Being there, adding value and being relevant to people.
Great, that sounds amazing. Well, definitely it's given me some actions off the back of this as well. And how do you say that, how would you say balancing your personal and professional content on LinkedIn? Because obviously you want to build like a really well-rounded like personal brand, but is there that element of you also need to bring something personal in, so that you don't sound always very corporate or professional, and just having that nice balance? How would you say going about that? Or do you think that it's not something you would recommend?
I do recommend talking
Yeah,
about personal stuff, because your USP is you,
yeah,
basically. You know, what
definitely.
separates one brand strategist from another brand strategist
Yeah,
is their personality, it's how they deal with the client,
yeah.
how they approach things, and that's all part of your personality. So
Hmm.
it is important that we show our personalities in our posts
Yeah,
and the way we communicate. I'm not a huge fan of talking about what we have for lunch or
yeah.
breakfast, you know, those kinds of things. And I do share a little bit about personal stuff, as in what I did at the weekend, but I
Yeah,
always do try to tie it back to work,
yeah.
to try and make sure that it's relevant in some
Hmm.
way to
Yeah,
what I'm doing. Having said that, we're now moving into holiday season. And
yeah.
when we are moving into holiday season, when it's either summer or Christmas or Easter,
Hmm.
do people really want to know 100 ways to get 60 clients in 5 minutes? Not
Yeah,
really. You know,
no.
they probably want to know, let's talk about, Turkey or Christmas or the summer holidays,
Yeah,
something a little bit more personal. So I think it's about timing
yeah.
as
Okay.
much as anything else. And I think weekends are quite nice times to be a bit
Hmm.
more personal,
Okay. Yeah.
just because I think that's how people are thinking.
Yeah. Would you say more and more people are starting to use then LinkedIn on the weekends? Because it's not something we do in-house of like posting on the weekend, but I imagine it's something that people are looking at potentially. Would you say it's a good opportunity?
Yes, I would. Although this weekend was quiet as a mouse on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, because it's the weekend before Christmas and people are doing Christmas
Yes,
things.
definitely.
And also in the summer at the weekends, it's quieter because
Hmm.
people are outside.
Yeah.
So it's using your common sense. It's using the psychology of human behavior, working out what
Mm.
happens with people. But what generally happens on a weekend is there are less people there,
Yeah.
but they've got a bit more time to engage.
Okay, that's interesting.
It
Yeah.
is interesting. And I
Mm.
definitely think it's worth trying a weekend strategy.
Yeah.
Try Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay.
Sometimes Sundays can be really quite active on
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
I do advise people to give it a go
Yeah.
if they don't need that switch off time.
Yeah, definitely. And I imagine it's something which, if you're monitoring as well, you can all of a sudden start to see patterns in what's working for you. And I imagine it's slightly different for different people and also different businesses. So, yeah, I think that sounds like a really good tip. And then have you got like any particular emerging trends that you're starting to see, which is like shaping the future of like personal branding?
Yes, there are. LinkedIn
Yeah.
made some changes to the algorithm recently.
Mm.
There were a lot of very, very personal posts popping up on LinkedIn with,
Yeah.
sort of selfies for no reason,
Yeah.
people wearing not very many clothes, that kind of thing. And LinkedIn did clamp down on these with some
Okay.
algorithm changes, which we did notice a difference,
Hmm.
definitely. So, and the way that the other changes that I've seen on LinkedIn and the way that LinkedIn are valuing certain types of posts, they're
Okay.
definitely valuing value add posts more,
Hmm.
rather than the sort of just bland chit chat, if you like.
Yeah.
And what the algorithm does, it looks for keywords, it looks for
Hmm.
engagement on
Yeah.
content, and it's definitely pushing out better quality content to more people.
Fantastic.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. And is there anything else at all? What do you think of like obviously AI coming into it? And obviously you're finding a lot more people are trying to create content through AI, but it doesn't necessarily have that personal aspect, does it? And I think sometimes there's the element of everything starting to sound very samey.
I know. Um,
Yeah.
Actually, was at a discussion, big sort of group, sort of powwow about AI recently,
Mm.
and of course, it's the engine that feeds itself, which is,
Yes.
so the worse it gets, the worse it gets, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
yes, AI is important. Yes, AI is part of our lives, and we should
Hmm.
embrace it and use it to its best potential. But we need to still add our own footprint, our own personality into our posts. So using AI for research, for ideas, definitely. But I still don't think we're there yet, creating AI to write our post for us. I think I can spot posts that are written with AI.
Yes.
I think we all can. And just a little bit bland, as you said.
Yes.
So I think even if we're using an AI tool over and over and it learns our voice and it learns, you know, what we, you know, the keywords that we're using, I still don't think we're at a point where we should be using it blindly. Definitely not. We're a long, long way from that.
Yeah.
If ever that day will come, I don't know. But make sure, you know, that if you are using AI, add your own thoughts and also check the facts, because they're not always right.
I know.
And they can be out of date. In fact, I think it's 18 months behind, isn't it?
Yes, I think that's correct. Yeah, definitely.
So, yes. So use it, but with caution.
Definitely. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your insight and expertise with us today. It's been a really insightful conversation, and I've definitely learned a lot and got a few takeaways. So hopefully our audience has. So what we'll do is we'll pop Sarah's details in the comment section. So if anybody's interested in getting in touch with her, feel free to reach out. And I just wanted to say a big thank you for everybody joining us. And if you've got any questions or topics that you'd like us to explore in the future, feel free to drop them in the comments. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks so much, Michelle. It's been amazing.